Good morning. Today we are finally back in our binders and we are continuing on. We are going to be working on CO50. I can find the slope of a line that has been graphed. We will be working with slopes in all the classes in the future. The slope is a very important concept. Okay, so we really need to truly understand what the slope is, and we're going to be working on different ways that we find the slope. In the future, you'll be using lots of stuff having to do with the slope. So it is an important concept for us to understand. So to start us off, let's get the definition of a slope. The slope is how a line moves across the coordinate plane. So that graph, how that line is moving across the graph, the coordinate plane. Okay, because a line hits certain points specifically, right? You can draw that straight line and it'll keep on going. So we're going to see how it keeps on going. We're going to be able to use the slope to predict points that will be on the line without being given those points. There are different ways that we can find the slope. They're all the same thing, just worded differently. So I'm going to give us some different wording, and then I'm going to show you which one I always use when I talk the words, but we need to know what they mean. So first, we're going to talk about the vertical change over the horizontal change. So vertical means the up and down. Horizontal means going across. When you look at the horizon, you're looking at it going across the land. So when we look at our coordinate plane, what goes up and down? Ellie? The y-axis. So that vertical change is the same as saying the change in y. So what would our bottom be? Yeah, the change in x. Because the horizon, that horizontal, is the x-axis. So the change in the y over the change in the x. Right? So different words mean the same thing. The vertical change means the same as the change in the y. The horizontal change means the same as the change in x. Now, an even shorter way to say it is that vertical, that y, we can call the rise. So the rise is how it goes up and down. And you can put that little arrow there to remind you the rise is it either goes up or it goes down. And then that change in x we call the run, and that is going to the right. Now, a detail that we need to know. If our rise is going up, if the rise goes up, our slope will be a positive. If our rise goes down, that slope is going to be a negative. It's going to make sense when we start to see it, but we have to know if we have a positive slope or a negative slope. So we're going to really look at what our line differences look like between the positive and the negative. So I always use the last ones. When I talk about slope, I talk about the rise over the run, because it's a lot shorter to say rise, run, versus the vertical change or the change in the y, it's just easier for me to say rise over run. You need to know what that rise means, what that run means, and if it makes more sense for you to write out change in y over the change in x, then put that when you make your help card, right? You're gonna put what works for you. For me, I know I've been using this for years upon years, so I know the rise goes up and down. I know the run goes across. But what makes sense to you on your help card? So we are going to plot two given ordered pairs, connect them with a line. We don't have to pull out a ruler and be perfect. We're going to try to make it as straight as possible, but we're also going to keep in mind that when we draw something, it is not perfect. And we're not going to just eyeball it to know our slope. We're not going to say, well, it looks like this. We're going to actually do the math to figure out our slope. And I'm going to show you how we do that. Let me scroll up. When we read a graph, just like when we read words in a sentence, when we read our math problems, we read from left to right. Okay? So on the graph, we're going to go farthest point to the left and go to the right. So we always go left to right. So our first step is to plot our points. So we have -4, 2. So we know, remember that it's x, y. So you do your x first, and then you do the y. Then we have -3, +5. So I plot my 2 points. And now I need to draw my line. So remember, I want to do a line, not a segment. So I'm not just connecting the 2 points, that's a segment. I need to go beyond the 2 points and put my arrows because that line continues on. So when you plot your 2 points, make sure you connect them with a line, not a segment. That's our first step. Now, we need to use that rise over run. We know that if our rise goes up, it's positive. If it goes down, it's negative. And our run, we go from the left to the right. So when we're given those 2 points on the graph, we can count out that rise over the run. We start with our point farthest to the left. And we have to say, okay, our rise, how many up am I going to go to get to my next point? Clara?
3.
3. I go up 1, 2, 3. So my top number is a 3. Now I need to figure out the run. How many across am I going to go to get to my next point? Elliot? If I ended right here, because I went up 3, how many over to get to my point? 1. I'm going to hop over 1. So my bottom number is a 1. Is this going to be a positive slope or a negative slope? Joe?
Positive?
How do you know?
I
So if we look at our arrow, if we're going up, it's a positive. So we went from our first point, we went up to our next point. We know it's going to be a positive slope because we're going up. If our second point was down and we had to count down to get to it, then it would be a negative. So if you ever count up to get to your second point, it's positive. If you ever have to count down to get to your second point, it will be negative. One of the most common mistakes students make is they forget about those negative slopes, or they call a positive slope a negative. So you have to remember, if you go up to your second point, it's positive. If you go down to count to your second point, it will be negative. Now, let's plot. Did that one make sense? All right, let's look at our next one. You're gonna plot your 2 points. Plot 1, 6 and 5, 3 and draw your line. Now go ahead and do that right now. Plot your 2 points. See if you can figure out the slope, and then we're going to check it. So plot your 2 points. Then you're gonna figure out your rise. Are you going up? Are you going down to get to your second point? And then figure out your run. So did you plot your 2 points? Did you count? Oh, you did already. Do you understand why? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna plot my 2 points. Draw my line. So your line should look something like that. Who has a guess on what our slope is for this line? What is your guess, Holland? So tell me what the fraction would be. Okay, 3/4. Give me a thumbs up if you got 3/4. Thumbs down if you got a different answer. So I see some up and a couple down. Gavin, why did you switch from up to down?
She did it the wrong way.
Meaning what?
So you count across first, how far it is to the dot.
So I always you start on the left. Always start on the left. So are you going across or are you going down? Which one did you do first?
I did across.
Okay, so for my brain, I always do the up, down first and put it on top, and then I go across. It's okay that Gavin did the across first as long as he knows where to put that number. So how many jumps across did you have, Gavin?
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you put the 4 on the bottom, right? Or did you put the 4 on the top?
On the top.
Oh, so if you're going to count across first, you have to know that the across is your run. And it goes on the bottom. Okay, so Holland was right. There is a positive 4 on the bottom. Okay, who else had their thumb down? Elliot.
Went down, so it's negative 3.
So Elliot went down 1, 2, 3. So Holland was right that it was 3 down, but she forgot that when you go down, it's a negative. So if you had a positive 3/4, because a lot of us had a thumb up, yeah, I got 3/4. I went down 3/4. I went over 4, down 3. Okay, so I always go down first and go, okay, 1, 2, 3. So 3 on the top, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. If I go down, it has to be negative. Look at our 2 lines. Our positive line is going up. Our negative line is going down. Whenever you see a line that's going up, you know it's going to be a positive slope. Whenever you see a line that's going down, you know it's going to be negative. Always, always, always put that rise on top, the run on the bottom. Okay, so that's why I put arrows next to my words. So I remember that rise is the up, down, and the run is going across. So one of the most common mistakes, students make is they forget that going down is negative. Second common mistake that students make is they accidentally start at the wrong dot. And they go over and they say, oh, I'm going down to my next point. No, you gotta read it from left to right. Otherwise, you're accidentally getting that up and down mixed up. So always start at the farthest left, and then you'll see if it's positive or negative. You can even put on your help sheet that a line like this is positive, a line like that is going to be a negative slope. You can put that on your help sheet. Biggest mistake we make. Second mistake is starting at the wrong point. There is a third mistake that people often make. We are going to do one more graph, and we're going to see if we can figure out what that third mistake might be. So go ahead and graph this third one. Plot your points, draw your line, and figure out your slope. Here we got it done? Yep. What'd you get? See if you can figure it out. See if you can figure it out. Fix it if you think you know. I've seen some people counting wrong, so double check your counting. Some of us have counted wrong. No. Some of us have counted wrong. I have yet to see somebody figure out what the common mistake is that people make on this one. Oh, pencils, sir. You had a pencil, and then you tossed it over here and took out a pen. What do you think you should do with that pencil? I see a lot of people getting 5/3 or 7/3 counting. It is not 7/3. I haven't seen anybody figure out. Oh, I see somebody who's really thinking about it. But we have to make sure we have the right numbers to work with first. Oh boy. All right, let me graph mine. So we have -3, -3, and we have 1, 5. So our line should look like this. I had some people say, ooh, I know a common mistake is people don't put negative, so it must be a negative. That must be, nope, it's a new common mistake. If our line is pointing up, we know it is positive. Okay, so I am going to count from my farthest to the left. I'm going to count up to where my next point is. So 1, 2, 3, as we count that x-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I am counting up 8 because you do count that x-axis. And then now I count my run. How many over to the right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I hopped over 4 because you count the x-axis and the y-axis. So I got 8 over 4. And I had a lot of friends who had that on their paper and they're going, wait, she said nobody found the mistake yet. But I got 8 over 4 and that's what Miss Gambino counted. What is the mistake, Finley?
Simplify.
Ah, simplify, simplify, simplify. One of the most common mistakes friends make. They're like, oh, I counted correctly. I double checked, made sure I counted correctly. But look, it looks like a fraction. Oh, I need to simplify. Simplify, simplify, simplify. So, double checking, is it a positive or a negative? Double checking, did I start with the right point and count correctly my rise and count correctly my run? You count when you cross over that X and Y axis, you still count them. Third and final, did I simplify? I hate having to take points off on the test because you didn't simplify. Oh, do the final step, okay? You're gonna do the bottom three on your own, and we will check them tomorrow. And then answer the questions. You are designing a water slide. Which slope above, so you're gonna have 5 slopes, which one do you think would work best for a water slide? So think about a slide, what it should look like with that line being the slide. Well, which one you think would be the best slope for a good and fun and safe water slide? So answer the bottom questions using those slopes and lines from up above on what would be the best slope for it. Any questions on the slope before we move on? Really, truly think about, am I counting it correctly? Going from the left point to the right point. Is it a positive or negative? And did I simplify? When you are finished, most of us are done with the Khan Academy. We got that done on time, yay, thank you. Except for if we were ill, make sure we get it done. Math packet, pull it out and start working on it. If you have questions on the slope or you just want to double check that you're doing it correctly, come bring it over to me. We will be working more with slope tomorrow also. And remember that I said tomorrow is our last objective of this unit. So we're going to review on Wednesday, practice test on Thursday, real test Friday. And then our next unit is going to be more in depth with these slopes. Okay, so we are going to go more into slopes with the next unit. If you are watching at home, I hope you are well and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.